Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to the desktop for another retro RPG. And this time I would like to present this. The Star Wars Stock Ships sourcebook for the Star Wars role-playing game by West End Games. A 1997 release, so one of the last ones by West End Games because they lost their license for Star Wars in 1998. So I wanted to bring attention to this for several reasons. First of all, I've been quite critical of West End Games for their later releases. I said they moved their headquarters to a smaller town and lost a lot of the big talent when they moved. And yes, they did, but they kept a lot of fantastic talent, and they were still capable of churning out absolutely brilliant sourcebooks like this one. I have to say the cover of this looks one of the best I've seen. Maybe it's because I'm a bit geeky and I love blueprints, but that and the logo and everything make it look very nice. The other reason is because of the writers. So, Star Wars by Pablo Hidalgo, Steve Miller, Timothy S. O'Brien, Paul Sudlow, and Eric S. Troutman. Well, Eric S. Troutman is a fantastic writer. The other ones I'm not really that aware of, except for Pablo Hidalgo, who, if you pay any attention to Star Wars these days, you'll recognize the name because he's head of keeping continuity within Star Wars these days. Basically, he joined Lucasfilm not long after this was published. He had a guest appearance in Revenge of the Sith, but these days he makes sure that Star Wars is Star Wars, and he's one of us. He's a geek. He started off writing the Star Wars role-playing game and being part of the fan community. So it's really nice to know that somebody who is very much like us, thinks of Star Wars the same way as we do, is now core to making sure that Star Wars stays very Star Wars. So I wanted to highlight this book for those reasons. And opening it up, we can see basically it's a list of different types of ships. Because Star Wars role-playing game, when it came out, basically had two types of ships for the players to use. You had the Gatroc freighter and you had the Corellian YT-1300. So basically the Millennium Falcon and a Millennium Falcon ripoff. And they were both carried around 100 tons of cargo. They would carry your party around. They were modifiable. But they were very similar ships. And this book aims to kind of beat that by bringing in some background features and detailing ships and introducing new types of vessels and new blueprints for them. So we've got the Lantillian short hauler. And from that picture, I recognize it as a type of ship which was introduced for the first edition of Star Wars role-playing game with the Games Master screen. They gave you some blueprints for that. And we open it up and we can see a very nice blueprint. All the areas of the ship labelled, and then the stats for it. Now this is another ship very similar to the others. It carries 85 tons of cargo, it's got 6 passengers and 4 crew. But it's very much laid out for players, because if we look through, we've got the cockpit with 4 places in it, and the cabins for them all. But checking out the central areas here, we've got not only the living area with eating and all that, the kitchen, a medical bay, a zero-G relaxation chamber, a holo theatre, which you could probably use for briefings. This is very much a rebel transport. A very small team of rebel agents could use this. They've got somewhere for receiving their communications from command. They've got the med bay for treating their wounds. They've got space for their party and their equipment. It's a great ship for that. I'm not quite sure where all the cargo goes because, as I said, it's got 85 tons of cargo and we seem to be lacking anywhere to put it. But it's a very nice design. And that's what this book's kind of about. We've got a customized version of the vessel to give you an idea what one of them in use might be like. And then we're on to the Starwind class pleasure yacht. And likewise, this could be used by players. There's plenty of passenger cabins, plenty of space for crew. Again, it's got a decent amount of cargo. This only has 20 metric tons, but you've got 10 passengers and 5 crew. Not perfect for a Star Wars group, but not bad at all. Large meeting table and all that in it. Then we've got the Fire Rider, a custom version of it. The Z-10 Seeker. Now this is a much smaller ship, only 1 crew, 2 passengers, 45 metric tons. So maybe not as much use to players, unless you're running a very small group, in which case this would make a fantastic little ship for them. Weapon Auto Blaster. And because of the era we're at, Shadows of the Empire had come out only a couple of years before and introduced the YT-2400. We'd got Dash Rendar's Outrider, which was a custom 2400. And it's a type of Corellian freighter, very similar to the Millennium Falcon, laid out a bit differently. So this one has 6 passengers, 2 crew, and carries 150 tons. So easily modified, carries your people around. The deck's a bit bland, there's not too much in there, but a nice little ship for your players. And then we're on to the Corellian XS800. And this is a sort of hammerhead blockade runner type ship. And we can see from its stats, 115 tons, 8 passengers, 1 to 2 crew, can coordinate. It's a nice little ship. What we got here? We've got the quarters, storage lockers, ramp to cockpit, common room, refresher, galley, medical bay, engineering section with machine shop, cargo bay, and cargo bay loading elevator. So again, pretty much perfect for a group of player characters. We've got the Horotil Crescent class transport, which kind of looks like maybe a souped up space shuttle type design. Looks very aerodynamic from the blueprint. Maybe somewhat stealth fighter design. It's got 1 crew, 8 passengers, and 83 tons. So again, very useful for players modifying. I'm not sure that the stats really match the diagram though, because if we look, it says it's got 1 crew and 8 passengers. But these areas here, number 12, are crew barracks with double bunks. So we're kind of forcing the passengers to load into double bunks. We've got the Gazellis Light Freighter. A very oddly shaped vessel, but that should be nothing in Star Wars. 1 crew, 1 gunner, 8 passengers, 100 tons. Again, sticking very much to that format of the Corellian YT-1300. The Nova Drive 3Z. A very oval ship with a couple of heavy laser cannons at the side, but quite a nice design. The cockpit off to one side. Plenty of place for your players, plenty of cargo space. This one has 150 tons. The Rendili Surren Starlight Freighter, a sort of one-winged vessel. And again, large cargo hold, some space for crew and passengers. This time 2 crew, 4 passengers, only 50 tons of cargo. The blueprints, as I said, don't really seem to match up too well to what the stats are, because we've seen vessels which have apparently far less cargo space, which carry far more. The Swantech Systems TL1800. Again, a very nice design. This is a bit larger, 1 to 2 crew, 7 passengers, 110 metric tons. Lots of places for things to happen. We've got the crew lounge there. The gun turrets are sat inside. What are 2 and 3? Life support controls and ship's computer access, as well as the 4 places in the cockpit. The ZH-25 Questor. And it has 6 passengers, 1 crew, 85 tons. Not a lot really going on inside it. The crew bunks, not much. I wouldn't recommend it. But the high point of the book for me is the Corellian HT-2200, which was actually introduced back in the Star Wars comics by Marvel back in the late 70s, early 80s. Luke Skywalker used one of these in one of the finest stories, Rider of the Void, I think it was called, where the hyperspace malfunction takes them out of the galaxy, and they meet this living ship, which wrecks a Star Destroyer easily. And I love that story, and I love this vessel for being in it. And it's a bit of a bigger ship, because we've got 2 crew and 8 passengers, but we've got 800 tons. I could definitely see how players could use this in a Star Wars campaign. You know, converting these areas into launch bays for fighters. So not only have you got them running around the galaxy in their ship, they can actually launch starfighters and deal with things that way. Wonderful design, I really like. The Barlos class medium freighter. And it's a bit of a shuttle tug type thing. We've got a large cargo bay, small areas up here. Pretty good for players. It's only got 2 crew, 4 passengers, 120 tons, but a nice little ship. The Saronian L-19 heavy freighter. A bit of a blobby ship, but very nice inside. Again, lots of places your team could act in adventures. There's lots of stuff they could do. You can see where they would get. Lounge at the back here, cargo bays. Again, you could possibly have these converted into hangars. Very nice thing. The Mon Calamari Deepwater class light freighter. So a Mon Cal ship. And it's a bit of a smaller vessel. We've got 1 or 2 crews, 6 passengers, 85 tons. Back into that YT-1300 size. And that's the end of the book. We have the Lost Reef, which is a custom one. Each of the ships had their custom. Now, there was obviously some kind of cutout here. This book I got secondhand, and it was gone by the time I got it. But this is a fantastic book. I really like it. I love blueprints, as I've said many, many times. And this was a highlight of the very late days of West End games. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about it. As always, thank you very, very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.